Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Happy New Year. All good things. Thank you to everyone who in the sanctuary is wearing your masks. We appreciate that. Hello to live stream people, and a special welcome to our friends from Bethel. We love when you come to visit, so we're glad you're here. And let's begin with a cleansing breath. Let's take a nice deep breath and let go of any of the aggravation of the past week. Wonderful. And let's turn to page 121 to light our Shabbat candles. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Our Kiddush is on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. Page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Shalom Aleichem, page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim Melachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now please rise if you are able, page 146 for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvit funa meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tsevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Hamo Yisrael. The Shema, page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta, page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, beshiftecha, bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yedecha, vehayuletotafot beinecha, Uktavtam amezuzot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam Ay, 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 ba 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 bim bam. Ay, 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 ba 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 bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'alim Adonai. Mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh. Norat hilot o sefel. Norat hilot o sefel. Yam bam 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 bibi bam. Yaba ba bim bam. Yam bam 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 bibi bam. Yaba ba bim bam. Ay 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 ay. Yaba ba bim bam. Ay 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 ay. Yaba ba bim bam. Let's continue together on page 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 162. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael, ot hi leolam, ot hi leolam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Now rise if you are able for tefillah, page 164. Adonai sefatatichahu fi agi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'Mevi Ye'ula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Page 171. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Let's continue together at the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat, page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yir'ah na'avod. Shalom Rav, page 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol er uvachol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Let's pause now for a moment of silent reflection. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. I want to let you in on a little secret that you may or may not know. I love science fiction and fantasy. Books, movies, television programs, anything that has to do with the supernatural, unexplained phenomenon, aliens, I love it all. And I can't get enough of it. I have every Stephen King book in my study. I've seen every episode of The X-Files, and The Wizard of Oz, the ultimate fantasy about escaping to another world, is by far my favorite movie. But my favorite television series, bar none, is The Twilight Zone. I have seen and I own every single episode from Where Is Everybody, the first opening broadcast in 1959, through The Bewitching Pool that aired on June 19th, 1964. I didn't have to look it up, I know this. Every New Year's Eve, the Sci-Fi Channel broadcasts a Twilight Zone marathon. Not every episode, but close. And I think it's very fitting to have a Twilight Zone marathon when the new year begins, because the episodes shown teach each of us a lesson. How to be better people, how to be less boastful, how to act logically in illogical situations. I love them all, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which aired on March 4th, 1960, almost 62 years ago. Maple Street in 1960 could be any street in America. Mowed lawns, cars parked in driveways, kids playing ball in the street, neighbors saying hello to each other. Maple Street in 2022 looks just about the same, except the houses are bigger, the cars are parked in 2 or 3 car garages, and the kids are off playing soccer in the park, and the neighbors aren't always friendly toward each other, especially if their skin is a little different from theirs or they speak in a foreign language. But 1960 was an easier time, and the residents of Maple Street on that late afternoon in July had nothing to worry about until a shadow passes over, accompanied by a roar and a flash of light. The residents soon discover that their power went off, affecting stoves, lawnmowers, cars, and telephones. They gather in the street to discuss the situation. Someone volunteers to walk over to the next block to see if they're affected as well. Another neighbor decides to go downtown to investigate, but then a local boy comes up and urges him not to leave the street. He read a comic book about an alien invasion causing similar problems and said that the monsters don't want anyone to leave the street. Furthermore, in the story, the aliens are living as a family that appears to be human. The power outage was meant to isolate the neighborhood so the alien family can take over. Another resident tries unsuccessfully to start his car. He gets out and begins to walk down the street when the car starts on its own. The bizarre behavior of his car makes the neighbors suspect that he may be the alien, as suggested by the neighbor boy's story. One woman brings up his late nights spent standing in the garden looking up at the sky. The neighbor defends himself, saying he has trouble sleeping at night, but everybody looks at him with suspicion. Then the power goes back on in one house, but stays off on the rest of the street. Soon the neighbors begin to argue with each other, and accusations fly until darkness descends on Maple Street and a shadowy figure is seen walking toward them. Someone panics, grabs a gun, and shoots the figure, thinking it to be an alien. When the crowd reaches the fallen figure, they realize it is their neighbor, the one who went to investigate on the next block, and he's dead. Someone accuses the shooter of killing him because he's the alien, and soon everyone is pointing fingers, throwing rocks, and chasing each other until the neighbors agree that the young boy was the only one who knew about the alien's plans because he read it in his comic book, and they descend upon him. The episode ends as the scene cuts to a nearby hilltop, where it is revealed that the shadow that flew overhead is indeed an alien spaceship. Its crew are watching the riot on Maple Street while using a device to manipulate the neighborhood's power. They comment on how simply fiddling with consistency leads them to descend into paranoia and panic. The aliens also discuss how easy it's going to be to get Earthlings to suspect each other, hate each other, even kill each other in the blink of an eye. The aliens smile and decide to use this strategy to conquer Earth, one neighborhood at a time. Now, you may or may not believe in aliens or even share my love for science fiction, but there is something that I know with the greatest of certainty, and that is that there are indeed monsters on Maple Street now, as we begin the year 2022. And those monsters are not from another planet. They are the neighbors and friends on your block, on Abbey Lane or Apple Tree Road or on 2nd Street, ready to defend their right to whatever it is they need at the expense of anyone who gets in their way. People who won't bake a cake for someone they don't like. People who would rather shoot someone in their middle school class than realize that not everyone wants to go out on a date with them to the movies. People who whisper behind the back of someone wearing a head covering. Ordinary people who in a moment's time can become monsters. We may not agree with each other about politics or religion or whether our neighbor can put up a fence or paint their house green, but civility never goes out of favor, be it 1960 or 2022. When our tempers flare and our blood begins to boil, it's time to take a cleansing breath and be kind to each other. The opposite choice can only bring out the monster in all of us. And remember, sometimes science fiction can be all too real, whether we're in the twilight zone or not. May we all be blessed with a happy and healthy 2022. Happy New Year and Shabbat Shalom. Let's turn to page 371 and take a moment to remember those in our families, in our communities, who are sick and in need of healing. This Shabbat, we remember Nathan Snyder, Larry Friedman, Pam Kastner, Floyd Baturin, and anyone you may wish to name at this time. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who heals the sick, and we say Amen. We sing Mishaberach on 371. Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. May God bring healing to us all, and we say, Amen. Let's rise now and turn to page 586 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, l'ateit gedula le'otzer v'reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'morim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melecha kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Please be seated. Some announcements for this evening. Next Friday night on Shabbat, which is January 7th, we will be here at Ohev Sholem and welcoming our friends from Bethel. So please come and join us if you will, or join us on live stream. January 14th and January 21st, we will all be at Bethel. So don't come here because you won't see me. I'll be in Florida, God willing, that the planes take off and everybody's healthy. So those two Friday nights will all be at Bethel, the 14th and the 21st. And then on the 28th, we'll both be back here, Bethel and Ohev, here at Ohev Sholem. You can find it all on our respective websites. Sisterhood is planning a paint night, God willing, that COVID stays as level as it can stay. So keep your eyes on the website, and hopefully that will take place. So far, so good. And both Bethel and Ohev Sholem are doing our part to help the Afghan refugees who are in our community. On the 9th of January, we're doing a clothing drive and a gift card drive here at Ohev Sholem to be dropped off in the morning on that Sunday. If you'd like to help out, that would be wonderful. And now, let me prepare for the Mourner's Kaddish. We think of our loved ones who death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. From Bethel Temple, we remember Riva Abes, Herbert S. Abrams, Rose Abrams, Mary Alper, Helen Archer, Jeanette Baker, Renee Baseman, Louis Batorin, Oscar Beck, Martin Berger, Charles Blumenfeld, Louis Blumenfeld, Helen Archbook, Ralph Cantor, Paul Kramer, Beth O. Deitch, Ruth Doctorow, David Feinberg, Anna Fishbone, Anna Pearl Frankston, Isidore N. Jasenuk, Rabbi Max Gelb, Celia Goldenberg, Celia Goldstein, Minnie Goldstein, Ray Greenberg, Lynn D. Gurkoff, Herbert Y. Harris, Bessie C. Hurwitz, Philip Isaacman, Samuel Isaacman, Eli Jacobson, Archibald Josephson, Alex Kastner, Rose Kramer, Elsie S. Kurlansik, Joan Leopold, Mary Levine, Morris Levy, Sylvia Mainzer, Bessie G. Mazer, Adolph Miller, Faye M. Mock, Victor Morris, Samuel Morrison, Sarah Morrison, Samuel Pitnick, Elaine F. Pilmack, Harriet Koplovit Raffel, Samuel Rubin, William Richmond, Clara Rochman, Robert Rothenberg, Irving Rothschild, Mark Rubinsky, Miriam Scher, Martha Schultz, Sal Schwartz, Harry Shaw, Abram Snyder, Harry Solomon, Nathan Spevako, Daniel M. Staub, Lou Stutz, Esther F. Sudhalter, David Zeckley, Martin Weber, Anna Yates, Paul Yaverbaum, Israel Zuckerman. And from Temple Ohev Shalom, we remember the yardsites of Franklin Abel, Bowman A. Brown Jr., Beatrice K. Kleiman, Max Garner, M. Lee Goldsmith, Erwin I. Grossman, Jack Klawanski, Bernhard Kramer, Moses Landis, David Lang, Irving Levine, Henrietta H. Mayer, Bernard Rosenstrau, Max Salkin, Elaine Simons, William Moss Strauss, Harry Yablonowitz. For those that have been named, or for those that you may name within your own hearts, as is your own custom, please rise if you wish for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach charuteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Bagalov izman kariv v'yimaru amen, Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. I now ask the congregation to please rise together for our closing hymn, which is Adon Olam on page 625. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivrach leit nasa v'chef sachol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'yacharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora Adon Olam v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivrach leit nasa v'chef sachol azah melech shemo nikra Adon Olam b'ya'ado avkid ruchi be'et tishan ve'achira Adon Olam ve'im ruchi geviati Adon Oli velo ira Adon Olam Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivrach leit nasa v'chef sachol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam. And now if you are in a safe pod, to hold on to the people who are next to you, or if you are not in a safe pod, don't touch anyone. And I will ask God's blessings on our congregational family. That's how we do it around here. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with joy, with rest, and with peace. Amen. Shabbat shalom, and happy and healthy New Year.